moving on to our second segment. MLB.
It's back! It's back!
Freeman is a Dodger.
The way I wanted to start a talk about the baseball.
Love that Nick is like, I'm going to try my hardest not to curse anymore. We're not going to be an explicit podcast. The one word. Okay.
I don't know if I want to use that clip for the intro.
You should totally use that clip.
No, I don't know. You're not supposed to curse in like the first 8 minutes or something of a YouTube video.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the All-Star Trio podcast. Fresh off a week of rest that was much needed for the group.
I didn't even have internet.
Well, we're back. We're ready to go. Tori, kick us off.
All right. We're starting with the NFL. Oh, yeah, I completely forgot my clap.
You're only gone for a week.
I know. I'm so sorry. All right. Watson is a Cleveland Brown. Let's talk about that.
Hate it.
Where does Baker go? I could care less that Watson's their quarterback. Where does Baker go now? Who's going to take this injury-riddled old man from Cleveland?
So here's my thought about the Baker Mayfield thing. Everybody knows Cleveland has to trade him. Nobody wants to offer anything. I think they're all kind of expecting eventually Cleveland's going to cut him, and then they'll just pick him up. Carolina was said to be like a big spot, but then they're out on him. They're not interested. Which then I heard recently that they are interested. They just don't want to pay him that contract or trade anything away. Which the favorite right now seems to be Seattle, but it all comes down to how highly Seattle actually thinks about Drew Lock. Which fair.
Yeah.
It all just.
If you ask my
Sorry, Tori.
No, you're right. If you ask my dad said that Baker Mayfield should just come to the Cowboys.
No.
No, he's gonna
like,
He's gonna want to be a starter, and he deserves to be a starter.
No.
My thoughts for him are Seattle, Carolina, or Detroit. And if I have anyone out there questioning me, saying, "Why would Detroit want him? They have Jared Goff." Shut up.
That's why.
People forget how good Baker is. Before the injury this season, I don't know where this big hate on Baker came. Because I remember when he was leading Cleveland to the playoffs, they beat the Steelers and were dueling with the Kansas City Chiefs. Everyone was claiming he was a top 10 quarterback. End of the season, there were people out there willing to debate that he was a top 5 quarterback in the league. Then he goes out this year, tears his shoulder, tears his foot, messes up his leg, and he's still out there trying his best because he knows how important football is. He wants to make Cleveland fans happy. And you know what? They still competed in that division. Like, they were still 500 in that division. I think they ended up being 9-8 and like the third behind the Bengals, who ended up winning it all. They were behind the Steelers.
Yeah, literally the Super Bowl champions.
Well, no, not champions, but
I mean, not champions, runner-ups.
I think Baker's a much better quarterback. I think it just became popular to hate on him because media made it Baker versus Odell.
Yeah.
And everyone saw Odell doing good, not realizing that Odell's running these short 5-yard outs and cuts and making easy plays, and then the Browns had him running straight goes downfield and not using any of his route running prowess. Thank you, Kevin Stefanski. I still stand on that. It wasn't Baker, it wasn't Odell, it was the coaching staff. But anyway,
yeah,
going off
probably.
Luke, you got us going on freaking Baker, which is my favorite new quarterback. You should have known this was happening.
Yep, the injury-riddled old man from Cleveland. I would see him going to Seattle or Detroit, honestly. Like what you said about Jared Goff, it's like, yeah. If he gets cut, he won't. I don't think he'll have much of a choice. I think Seahawks make a little bit more sense, although I don't know if they've already promised Drew Lock that he's going to be the starter.
Who cares about promising anything? That's crazy talk.
Well, didn't the 49ers promise Lance he's going to be their starting quarterback?
Yes, and the Browns promised Baker. The Eagles promised Jalen Hurts, and fans still wanted him gone. Vikings said they were going to move on from Kirk Cousins, and then they signed him to a 1-year deal. Green Bay promised Jordan Love forever ago that he was going to be there. Who the heck knows? Aaron Rodgers is still there. So, no. Promise from a front office in the NFL means nothing.
I don't know. I think Detroit or Seattle makes the most sense if he does get cut.
Thank you for dragging me back when I tried to move away. Deshaun Watson trade. I hate it. They traded away. The Browns are giving up a first round, a 4th round this year. They are also giving Houston a first round in 2023 and a first in 2024.
Yeah, that's a lot of picks.
And then they're going to pay Deshaun Watson a 5-year, $230 million contract, including $44 million in signing bonus and a $230 million guaranteed, which is the most guaranteed money in a contract ever.
I can't believe he's getting paid so much after missing so much time.
Because in case he gets suspended, he wants his money.
I know, but it's crazy. I wouldn't think any organization would be insane enough to offer this guy coming off of criminal charges and being suspended this much money.
Well, he wasn't suspended. He was sitting out. He wasn't suspended. He was sitting out because he wanted Texans, which I still think sitting out is stupid. I hate it. So I was already...
Technicalities.
My thinking on this is, I mean, he not innocent, but not guilty. So the legal charges, and he has come out and said, I'm not just dropping them, I'm going to fight them, I am innocent. So I kind of side with him on these charges. Apparently he's really against it. If he at any time he could have just dropped it. He said, it's gone, it's over with, I'm not dealing with it. He said, I'm still gonna fight it. All for him. Good on him. Makes me kind of think about that, but I've seen this actively online and on a lot of different places. As soon as you pay your QB big money, you're done. It doesn't work. You're not going to win with a big contract quarterback. Not unless your team is just already built to the bone. That's what the Rams were.
Yeah, that's definitely what the Rams were.
He was on a big contract, but he had a built team. As soon as you pay your quarterback this, the only way you can't afford your free agents. You can't afford to get players. You have to restructure contracts, and even then, you're done. The Browns' receiving core is bad. The Browns' defensive line outside of Myles Garrett is bad. Their secondary is not amazing, and they can't sign it, which means your only other option is to draft. The thing is, they don't have a first-round pick for the next 3 years because they just traded it away. So they have no way to build their team. And so my thinking on it is just, you're stuck.
That's a good way to put it. Honestly, you're stuck. I don't know what the long-term plan is with Watson, but I think they should have signed him for less. I really do. I don't see how he does. He's a good player, definitely. I don't know how he deserves that much money after they haven't seen him in however long they haven't seen him for.
A year. It's been a year since he led.
It feels like so much longer.
Led the Texans to a 4-12 record, I believe.
Yeah, I mean,
fair enough. That team was terrible, but Davis.
Yeah, it was
this year with an arguably worse team.
I don't know. I just don't see how he deserves that much money. That's my biggest problem with this. Honestly, it's not that he's even going to Cleveland. It's just he got so much money.
Okay. About the quarterback thing, winning Super Bowls. Looking back at the last few Super Bowls, right? Matt Stafford, stocked roster. Incredibly lucky. We're not going to act like the trade for Von Miller, OBJ getting cut. Those were luck things.
It was good timing, definitely.
Tampa Bay Bucks. Tom Brady takes pay cuts. We all know this. Even then, that team was still super stacked. Then before them, Kansas City Chiefs, before Patrick Mahomes got this big contract. The Patriots. Tom Brady takes pay cuts. Philadelphia Eagles. Backup quarterback, Nick Foles. He wasn't getting paid. New England Patriots. Tom Brady gets pay cuts. Denver Broncos. This was Peyton Manning when he was older. You know, he wasn't making as much money as he has. The Patriots. Tom Brady takes pay cuts. Seattle Seahawks, before Russell Wilson got a big contract. I think this was his second or third season. He was still on his rookie contract. The Ravens, Joe Flacco, is he ever getting paid like a top 10 quarterback?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
So one thing you really notice about this is these quarterbacks aren't getting paid a ton of money. As soon as teams get paid, pay their quarterback a ton of money, they don't do great. Aaron Rodgers gotten a ton of money. His team has gone nowhere. I mean, let's look at the Chiefs right now. They're not getting a lot of money. They are paying. Oh my God, I can't talk. They're paying Patrick Mahomes a ton of money. They're stuck. Their team is not getting better. It's when you start looking at how much you pay your quarterback and the correlation to winning, it's not very high. Making Deshaun Watson this much money, it's gonna hurt you.
Yeah, you're not getting any other pieces to help him. Like you said, their defense is kind of bad. They don't have a lot of options at wide receiver. There could always be a breakout star, but that's just that. He's a breakout star. You can't plan for that. I don't know. I don't think it's the best move that's happened recently, but it happened.
Let's talk about Hill and Armstead to the Dolphins.
They got their tackle for the future. They got probably the best free agent this year, the Dolphins and Terran Armstead. He was probably the best guy out there, and they got him. Good for them. Good job. Trading for Tyreek Hill, they traded 5 draft picks, a first and a second, which I just want to say. That first and the second was all it took the Raiders to get Devontae Adams. It was the best wide receiver in the league. We're talking about a borderline top 5 receiver in Tyreek Hill. I do think he's top 5. I think he's right there. But you also got to include the fact that they also traded a 4th, 2 4ths, and a 6th as well. So they got extra draft picks, the Chiefs did. So good on them. I think this was both they won because this is a very stacked wide receiver draft. And then afterwards, the Chiefs went out and got Juju. They got the wide receiver from Green Bay. I can't remember what his name is. It's a long name.
That one's not Devontae, right?
No, it was like Band or something. I'm not sure. Or Valdez Scantling. That's what it was.
Oh yeah, Devontae re-signed with the Green Bay, didn't he?
No, they franchise tagged him and then they traded him to the Raiders.
Oh, I'm so out of this. Hold on.
But anyway, the Chiefs didn't want to pay Tyreek Hill. It was the final year of his contract. They didn't want to pay him. They traded him to the Dolphins. The Dolphins are paying $120 million in the duration of the extension, including a guarantee of $72.2 million and $53.4 million guaranteed, plus $19.6 million guaranteed as of March 2023. So as long as he stays on the team, he's got to get more money. This Dolphins team is so fast. It's so fast. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert all ran under like a 4.40. They are so fast, and they will never go more than 20 yards down the field because Tua cannot throw that ball.
Well, it stands to be seen. I think we're underselling Tua a little bit. I mean, he might not have the best arm in the league, but
include the fact that his O-line has been terrible. He's never had any time to throw.
yeah. I think these are good pickups for the Dolphins. I think it has the potential to kind of elevate the team and elevate Tua's performance. But one thing I want to mention about getting a new receiver is actually Amari Cooper went to the Browns, and we didn't mention that. So that is a good weapon for Watson. Getting Amari Cooper is roughly one of the better wide receivers in the league. That's a big pickup for them.
That's very true. Having guys have their number 1 wide receiver is big. The issue is, once you go back down there, after Amari Cooper on the Browns, who is their second guy?
Well, that I couldn't tell you. I could just tell you that Amari Cooper went to the Browns.
The Dolphins are a good team. I think the Dolphins are going to be good this year. I don't think their defense is going to be as good because Brian Flores isn't there. I think their O-line got better. They are a very fast team. I think that this is going to – they're trying to be San Francisco. That's what the offensive coordinator of San Francisco is now the head coach. I think we're going to see Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill run a lot of like Debo Samuel schemes. They're still going to use their speed. It's just not going to be horizontally, or it's not going to be vertically. It's going to be horizontally. They're going to be running a lot of side to side, a lot of cross. You're going to have to be able to keep up with their speed. And if you can't, you're just going to get burned. So I think there's going to be a lot of big plays on this team, as long as Tua is good. Like this is the
I think he will be. Yeah.
But see the other way, we're going to see how much of Patrick Mahomes was Tyreek Hill.
Ooh, that'll be interesting.
He doesn't have that deep ball threat because Juju's not that big, fast guy. He's a great route runner. Travis Kelce's still there, so I think he'll be fine. But Travis Kelce isn't a great deep ball threat either. He is an amazing receiver as a tight end. I think the Chiefs are going to not have as many big plays. I don't think they're going to have those big 40-yard downfield throws that Patrick Mahomes is known for. I think they're going to go a lot more mid area. They're going to work the mid area. They're going to make it work. I think they're going to draft a wide receiver who I'm not sure. If they draft a speedy guy like Chris Olave, I can see that. But the Eagles are in love with Chris Olave, so he'll probably be gone by then. Even though I would much prefer Drake London, but that's a different talk for later. So Hill and Armstead to the Dolphins. I think they're going to be good. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be really interesting to see. I think this is the year we see if Tua's good, and if we might even see the true exposure of Patrick Mahomes. But we said the same thing last year about him, and he ended up doing incredibly well. So
in the second half, I didn't know in the second half.
It matters. That's all that matters. They made the playoffs.
They did. I hadn't even thought about that. That'll be an interesting conversation to have. I wonder if anybody else is talking about that. How much of Patrick Mahomes was Tyreek Hill?
A lot.
I hadn't even heard of that before today. So that's interesting.
In your opinion, what was the biggest move this offseason? Luke, let's start with you.
Biggest move this offseason. Legitimately, I think Randy Gregory leaving Dallas is really big. Like, scarily big.
That's the only offseason move you actually know.
Well, no, but it's the one I can talk about the best. Sure. That's a big gap in the Dallas defense. You're going from a like historically good defense, breaking records at some positions, to losing one of your big names. In the way he lost them too, over a contract disagreement that is apparently in every contract. I don't think walking out like this, changing your mind after you've already declared, will become like the norm. But I do think this has the possibility to force the Cowboys front office to reevaluate how they make contracts for fear of losing other big name players. And I mean, Gregory went to the Broncos, who already have a good defense. They just got another big piece.
I still think the Broncos are super overrated defense. Their pass rush is terrible, so they really need a guy.
Well, they just got a DN, so I'm saying Randy Gregory leaving Dallas and going to Denver, that's big. I think that's really big. And we saw from, I think it was DeMarcus Lawrence, said he wants to be a Cowboy for life. He might have to relook at his contracts or something, and a bunch of other guys probably do too, but he wants to be a Cowboy for life. It's just unfortunate how Randy Gregory left. I don't think it'll become the norm. Like I said, I really don't. But I think if you want to look at this from extreme to extreme, you could see this as the beginning of the end for this Cowboys almost dynasty in the NFC East, as their defense starts falling off if other big name players leave. Or you could see this as, okay, this exposed the front office. Now they have to make good changes that'll only benefit the team. I'm hoping it'll be good changes, but we'll see.
My thing about that is, I feel like this doesn't change. Well, it might end up changing contracts around the league and how they're worded. I think that we might end up seeing front offices trying to hide some things, because apparently this was in every contract. The Cowboys just actually like put it out there.
Yeah.
Which brings forth a lot of things like, what else are these owners hiding in the contract? What are these front offices hiding from their players?
And that's why I think they're going to be forced to like you said, change the wording and kind of adjust things in these contracts going forward. I think that'll be good for the league. Definitely good for players. I don't know. I think this one is big because it has a lot of implications for the NFL as a whole and not just Dallas. So we'll see.
Nick, let's move on to you. What was the biggest move this offseason, in your opinion?
Well, unlike Luke, I didn't go for this technical contract front office breaker that Luke did.
Listen, I usually don't talk about that side of football, so
I'm going for the straight and narrow. Everything the Chargers did. Literally everything. The Khalil Mack trade. I can't remember the name of the receiver that they just signed. Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank in his name. I'll figure that out later. They signed J.C. Jackson. They shored up their defense. I am in love with everything the Chargers did this year. I think that they went out there. They saw that their defense wasn't great. They saw that they couldn't stop the run. So they got the best run-stopping edge in the NFL in Khalil Mack. They say they didn't even have a number one corner to guard down, lock down number one receiver. So they went out and they got Mr. Interception, J.C. Jackson. Their offense is still outstanding. Justin Herbert's still really good. Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, this receiver that I'm still drawing a blank of a name of. But everything the Chargers did this year was huge. And I'm super excited for that team because that division got really scary. And they followed it up by making themselves even scarier. I was huge on the Chargers last year. If you've listened to any of our episodes of the podcast, I jumped on the Chargers hype train and rode it all season, all the way down to the final game where they didn't make the playoffs. I think that they have a very solid chance. I think they're going to be contenders next year. I'm saying that here and now. Mark it, save it, whatever.
okay, all right.
I'm wrong. Not going to be. The Chargers are going to be serious contenders next year. Purely because Justin Herbert's still on his rookie contract. They have a good receiving core. I think that they're going to draft either a linebacker or another receiver. Their receivers got to stop dropping the ball. It's an elite receiving core if they can catch the ball. But they get a good linebacker in the draft. There's plenty of them. I think that they're going to have a very, very good defense this year. I think that their offense is going to be scary yet again. I'm very excited for the Chargers.
I think the pass option you're thinking of is the tight end they signed, Gerald Everett from Seattle.
It was a wide receiver. It was their wide receiver too, who was a huge target for Herbert during the year.
I'm looking at their free agency tracker. I don't see a wide receiver on here.
They re-signed him.
Re-signed one.
They re-signed Mike Williams.
I was looking at people they brought in.
They signed him to $20 million per year, making him the 5th highest paid wide receiver in the NFL as of March 10th. I think now that's dropped off since Christian Kirk got paid, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill. I think he's like 7th or 8th highest paid. But he had a very solid beginning of the season, and he kind of died out at the end. I'm excited to see him do that again, but we'll see. I'm super excited for this team. I think they're going to be really good. I would love to be excited for anything the Eagles have done, but nobody in the NFC East has done shite. So
it's been rough over in the East.
So now after talking about all of the offseason moves, we're going to talk about predictions. So let's go through each one and y'all tell me who y'all think is going to win each division. So let's start with AFC North.
Right now, I'm probably thinking Cincinnati still because they haven't lost Joe Burrow yet.
I'm going to say Cincinnati too because they shored up their O-line. Their defense is still really good. They kept most of their team intact. I think the Browns are going to do really good this year. I don't think the Steelers are going to be good. I don't think Mitch Trubisky is that guy. Sorry. I don't think the MVP is this amazing player. The Ravens, I think, still don't have a pass rush. They still don't have a number one wide receiver. Lamar Jackson's coming off an injury. Their running core, I think they're going to be a better team. But so much of their team was injured last year that I'm just not sure.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens were still middle of the pack.
So
AFC East.
This is going to be the Bills again, no doubt. No doubt.
There's currently a huge hype train for the Jets right now. I feel like I don't understand why. I get that the Jets have made some good free agents, like underrated free agent signings. They've built up their team really well. The Dolphins have gotten Tyreek Hill. They're going to be really good. The Patriots are the Patriots. It's still Bill Belichick. It's still Mac Jones. So they really haven't done that either. But the Bills went out and got Von Miller. They're still the Bills. Josh Allen's had another year.
I think now this team could be a Super Bowl contender. I told you last year that they weren't going to make it. I think this could be the year they make it.
I'm going to switch with you here. I think they're going to be a second or third round exit.
Von Miller is such a big pickup for them.
It is, but we saw their defense get exposed for what it was. Like, outside of bad passing teams, the Bills just were not good defensively. We saw that in the playoffs.
Yeah, and now they're making moves to fix it. So
very questionable about that.
AFC South.
This is a terrible division.
This is the Matt Ryan Colts gonna win this division.
I agree with you. I think Matt Ryan.
Fresh start, Matt Ryan.
Rated. I think it'll be the Colts this year. I do love what the Titans have done, going out and getting Robert Woods. Derrick Henry will be healthy. Their quarterback is still Ryan Tannehill. And Matt Ryan is into good. I think the Colts need a wide receiver one, but they're linked to guys like Odell Beckham. They're also linked to guys like Tyrann Mathieu for our safety position. So I think the Colts are only going to get better this offseason. I'm excited for them. I think the Colts will win this division.
And finally, in AFC West.
This is tough between Kansas City and LA.
No, I'm going LA. I'm going the Chargers all the way. This isn't a stuck for me. This is a stuck for me. As hyped as some guys are on like the Broncos. So I know I said we weren't going to do this. We're not going to like go over each team. I feel like I need to go over this AFC West. I think it's going to be Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders, Broncos. I think the Broncos are going to be the worst team in that division because their wide receiver core. Sorry, my dog. The wide receiver core is not that great. Their O-line is very middle of the pack. Russell Wilson I still have so many questions about him. Their defense, their pass rush was terrible. Their defense is hyped because their secondary is outstanding. They have an amazing secondary and a huge pass-first lead. Thing is, the Raiders' pass rush is scary now. The Chargers' pass rush is scary. The Chiefs aren't as scary, but we'll see what they can do. I still think that they'll end up being better than the Broncos, but I think the Chargers take this division.
Hey, Russell Wilson still has a Super Bowl win. Got to keep that in mind.
He is Patrick Mahomes. So, Russell Wilson has not been an amazing quarterback since the Legion of Boom. I don't think this defense is the Legion of Boom. He's losing his bet. He had Chris Carson, the top 10 running back. He had DK Metcalf. He had Tyler Lockett. Now he has Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. They lost their big tight end and Noah Fant to get Russell Wilson. I still think Javonte Williams is an amazing running back. I think Melvin Gordon's a great running back. But
this will be interesting between, I think, the Chiefs and the Chargers. Because if the Chiefs go out and play a first half like they did last season, I could see them losing the division. So this depends. It'll be interesting. Maybe the Chargers win.
Moving on to the NFC, while I'm awing over Nick's dog over here. NFC North.
Check out our YouTube that's conveniently plugged at the end of every video. You get to see my dog.
He's so cute. Okay, NFC North.
Green Bay. I don't know who's gonna compete with them in that division. So
the Vikings. Aaron Rodgers did not have a wide receiver one. Their pass rush got worse. They're gonna have to start paying guys. The Vikings boosted their pass rush. Have a new head coach. They still have Justin Jefferson. Dalvin Cook is still there. I have a feeling they didn't break up their offense. Their O-line got boosted up. I think that this is going to be the year we see the Vikings go out and have that random 12-5 season. And I think Green Bay is going to be right behind them at like 11-6. But I think this is the Vikings' year because Chicago got worse. Detroit's still Detroit. I still think Detroit can be very good. I just don't think that they're there yet. But I think this is one of those years where the Vikings come out. I'm taking the Vikings.
I forgot they got a new head coach.
Cough, cough, biased Nfc East.
It's gonna be the Cowboys.
It's gonna be the Eagles.
It's gonna be the Cowboys.
Cough, cough, biased.
Here's my
This is a more interesting debate for who's gonna be at the bottom of the NFC East than
no, it's not.
top. It's gonna be Washington. Washington's gonna suck it up.
I win the division this year with Carson Wentz. Okay. The Cowboys have not gotten better. In fact, they have honestly gotten worse. You've lost players. You lost Amari Cooper. You lost Randy Gregory. You're not boosting.
Not Coop. Sorry.
You don't have a great corner. Trayvon Diggs is still incredibly overrated purely because of his interceptions. I don't think he's going to have as many interceptions this year. The Eagles we kept all our guys. We have 3 first-round picks, whether that's to draft or trade. This is a very stacked class. We're signed to links to Chris Olave or Drake London. So we're going to have those we're going to get our wide receiver 2 behind Devontae.
All right, so what just happened was we switched meetings.
Because Nick doesn't want to talk about Philadelphia losing anymore.
Because it was a bunch of BS and you know it. But
Okay. So there's bias. We get it. That's what our podcast is known for. But moving on to the NFC South.
it's the Bucs.
It's the Bucs. Tom Brady came out of retirement after like 3 days. It's the Bucs.
Falcons are running Marcus Mariota. The Panthers are running. Who knows? Who cares? The Saints might be losing Alvin Kamara. On top of that, the Falcons also don't have Calvin Ridley. The rest of that division is just falling apart. And then Tom Brady came back, and now the Bucs are like, everybody back.
I'm sorry. Tom Brady just needs to retire, and I feel bad for the guy that bought his last football.
That's such
what the heck?
I don't feel bad for him. Why would you buy Tom Brady anything?
There's
I'd see
$500,000 and Tom Brady reimbursed him by giving him a bunch of crypto from the company that Tom Brady owns for cryptocurrency right now.
And finally, NFC West.
As long as Trey Lance doesn't throw a touchdown. No, I think this could be the Cards again. I think it could be the Rams easily. I think this is AFC West type material where it could be 2 top teams, and I just don't know.
Hear me out. I think San Francisco takes it this year. If Bosa has another year, he should have won Comeback Player of the Year. He didn't, but he'll have another year back. They are going from Jimmy G and going to Trey Lance, supposedly. Who knows? I think Trey Lance is going to be good. I think that their running backs are still super good. We're going to see a lot of Elijah Mitchell, we're going to see a lot of Debo back there. I think that they're going to take the division. The Rams are good. Yes, they just came off the Super Bowl. But I think they're going to have a year. I think they're just going to have a down year. I think that this team's going to be a one and done, and it's going to be second in the division. I think the Cardinals are going to finish third because I still don't trust Kingsbury as their head coach. Kyler Murray's not happy. They don't have Chris Jones anymore. Who knows what that defense is going to be behind J.J. Watt and Budda Baker. DeAndre Hopkins is coming off an injury. They lost Christian Kirk. There's just too many question marks on the Cardinals right now. I want the Rams to have a down year just so the F them picks mentality doesn't have any fuel.
That is consistent with you, yes.
I think this is the year the 49ers do it. I'm excited for them, as long as we all agree that Seattle's going to be the worst team in that division, unless they get Baker, in which case we'll see.
I don't know. I don't like San Francisco. So I think this could be the Rams pretty easily. I think if Arizona can turn it around, it'll be Arizona pretty easily. Whether or not you trust Kingsbury, whether or not you think the Rams have a down year, I don't know. All I know is that the Rams are Super Bowl defending next year. I could see the Rams winning the division.
All right. Moving on to our second segment. MLB.
It's back! It's back!
Freeman is a Dodger.
Fuck. The way I wanted to start a talk about the baseball.
Love that Nick is like, I'm gonna try my hardest not to curse anymore. We're not gonna be an explicit podcast. The one word.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to use that clip for the intro.
You should totally use that clip.
No, I don't know. You're not supposed to curse in like the first 8 minutes or something of a YouTube video.
And YouTubers do it all the time.
First minute. Yeah, Freeman's a Dodger. Braves didn't want to pay him.
Screw the Dodgers. They do this every year, and they're not going to make it. I'm calling it now. They're going to lose to a team like the Cardinals. Blow it off. Sorry, my dog's eating my foot. Don't ask. He's weird.
Was it planning to?
Okay, so Freeman to the Dodgers. Braves didn't want to pay him. The Braves at least are keeping their other stars.
And then they paid Matt Olson.
Yeah, then they paid Matt Olson. Freeman to LA. Again, this is probably the most stacked lineup in baseball. All I have to say about it is you've got a freebie on your opening day $100,000 picks from MLB. So go bet on that. I think the Dodgers played the Rockies.
We're not doing advertising for companies that don't pay us. Stop.
Listen, man, if you can win $100,000,
we have a better chance of winning if there are less people.
Because it's fun. And by the time I get this video edited and uploaded, it'll already be over. So
Chris Bryant is a Rocky. I can't read. Chris Bryant's a Rocky.
Why?
Go.
This is such a dumb signing because Chris Bryant apparently doesn't want to win, and the Rockies didn't want to pay Nolan Arenado, so they paid Chris Bryant. This is a stupid signing for both sides. I think this was a terrible signing. I don't know what to think about this. I just think that it's a mistake.
This just kind of happened, and it doesn't like have any effect for me, any importance. It just kind of, it happened.
All right, Luke. By story is a Red Sox.
Yeah, you want to talk about something that does have an impact. Let's go. Best infield in baseball. Red Sox. Best
not if y'all
infield.
play Xander Bogaerts at shortstop, which is what you're gonna do.
Xander Bogaerts is a good shortstop. I don't know what you're talking about.
He's a good bat. He's a terrible defensive shortstop.
Best infield in baseball. Trevor Story is a Red Sox. Let's go.
As much as I wanted him to be an Astro, I think he should have been an Astro, but I think him being signed to the Red Sox is a good signing for the team. They needed a good bat. They needed a power bat. That's what he gives them. He's not lefty. I think he's a righty, if I'm not mistaken. So they're kind of short on a lefty bat, which they can still probably get at first base, maybe, but I don't know. But for the team, for the money that he's getting, it's smart because if Xander Bogaerts decides he wants to leave when his contract is up, they still have Trevor Story there. So it's a smart move for both sides. It's a good, logical, future sight move. Good job, Red Sox.
Yes, sir.
I still think he's going to be wasted while Xander Bogaerts is on the team because they're not going to play him as shortstop, even though he is the better.
No, he's going to be second base. Well, they've already committed to Xander as shortstop. Like he knew that before they signed Story.
Oh, definitely. It's like I said, logistically, it's a good signing. Realistically, I think it's stupid.
I think this is a good signing. I think Xander Story core up the middle is going to be great, but we'll see. The Red Sox will win that division anyways.
Highest. Correa is a twin.
God.
Let's go.
I think that, okay, realistically, I think that this is a trade bait. I think that he'll play a season because his only money that's actually guaranteed is this season. They signed him to a 3 or 4 year contract. I'll have to look that up real quick. But I think the only part of it that's guaranteed is this first year. I think that he's going to play this year, really put a stamp on himself, show that he's like this big player on a team that, like the Twins, that doesn't have a big player besides like Byron Buxton. And I legitimately think he's going to be traded for the Twins to rebuild. Because they traded away guys like Josh Donaldson. They don't really have that many good players. So the signing didn't make a lot of sense to me when it first happened. As much, and it wasn't just because, like, I wanted him to go back to the Astros. He was said to go back to the Astros. Like, of course I did. But they were talking about a 1-year prove-it deal for him to do. A lot of teams were talking about 1-year prove-it deals because people don't like Carlos Correa. I think that he took this contract to disassociate. Oh my God, I screwed up.
Disassociate with Houston
himself from Houston for a year.
I guess we got to be wary of what the Twins got going on this year.
Okay, I was wrong. It's a 7-year, $238 million deal with an opt-out option available following the 2027 season. But apparently he has a lot more control of the contract near the end of it. So we'll see. I think that this was if the Twins are looking to compete in their division, which they definitely can because that division is terrible, it's a good sign. The thing is, I don't know if they're going to compete because they traded away a lot of their good players. So we'll see.
I'm sorry. Imagine getting paid that much money just to play a sport. Like, oh my God.
You know, it's really
Welcome
funny.
to the bros.
I forget who it was. There's a player in the NFL who's being paid as much as like the Orioles' entire salary.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Pro baseball, not as much as pro like football, but
So the Twins have some good things going on. Honestly, I'm looking at their roster right now. You've got Gary Sanchez at catcher. He's pretty decent. You've got Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan, Dylan Bundy in the rotation. Those are good pitchers. They just obviously added Carlos Correa. They've got Hillman short. They've got guys like I'm going to butcher his name, Alex Kirilloff in left field.
yeah.
I think is also pretty decent. Obviously Byron Buxton in center, like Max Kepler and right. They've got good names. They could put something together here.
They could. They definitely could. But we said the same thing about them last year, and then they kind of weren't. So I'm just not big on this team. But we'll see. I mean, we will see.
All right. And finally today, y'all were both tasked to pick another big move to talk about. So Nick, let's start with you. What did you pick?
As much as it's been a while since these moves were talked about because of the lockout and everything, but people are kind of sleeping on what the Rangers did before the lockout.
The Seager trade.
Not Carlos Correa, Corey Seager. Like they have probably the best middle infield in baseball. And I will fight on that hill. Marcus Semien finished third in MVP voting. Corey Seager, I believe last year was the NL Finals MVP. I could be wrong about that, but I believe that's correct. The Rangers, they got rid of Kiner Falefa, which makes me sad, but we still have a bunch of young players. Our pitching staff needs to step up and improve. But this spring training, we've looked really good. Like we've put up like 25 runs. We were putting up 10 runs. Our offense looks yet again. It's spring
Nick is saying we. Oh no, he's saying we.
I'm a Rangers fan. I can say it. But
oh no.
I'm excited for the Rangers this year. I am. Do I think we're going to be like absolutely amazing? No. But when you look at the AL West, I believe is where we are, if I'm not mistaken. The Astros, great team. They lost Correa. Sad. They still have guys like Justin Verlander. I think they'll be good. Seattle, the Mariners have a great roster. They really, really do. I don't trust the Seattle Mariners to get anything done. The Oakland A's have gotten way worse. I still think that the Angels are good, but they're very good at wasting talent. Yet again, I can't trust the Angels. I think the Rangers can compete in this division. I think it can be really good as long as our pitching staff stands up strong. If our pitching staff is above average, we'll be fine.
I think Seattle could give Houston a run for their money this year. I think the Rangers could be that 3-4 team.
Fair enough.
because this is a good start to what I would pretty much consider a rebuild. These are big players to get when you want to create a contending team. So I like what the Rangers are putting together. I'm not a Rangers fan, but I do like what they're putting together.
I am, and I love it.
All right, my turn to talk about a signing, though. Kyle Schwarber went to the Phillies. No more Schwarbombs.
The Phillies defense is going to be terrible.
No more Schwarbombs for Boston. But that's okay because we got Bobby Bombs. We got Rafael Devers hitting bombs. We'll be fine. But man, I liked watching Kyle Schwarber at Fenway. Man, I liked it. But the Phillies, they get a world champion. He was 2016 world champ with the Cubs. They get a big lefty bat. I don't know if he's going to play first or outfield or what he's going to do, but this is a big pickup for the Phillies, and I hate that. I wanted to see him come back to Boston. Dang it.
So, just a real quick talk on the Phillies since you brought them up. Their defense is going to be horrible. Like, it's going to be terrible. I don't think there's a starter on their team who had a positive DRS last year or defensive run saved. If I'm a pitcher in Philly, I'm crying because their outfield's going to be Nick Castellanos in left. They're going to have Bryce Harper in center and Kyle Schwarber in right. And if not, it's going to be guys like Abdul Herrera in center. They'll DH Castellanos, but Abdul Herrera isn't great defensively either. And you look up their infield. It's guys like Gene Segura, who's old. Didi Gregorius, who's old. Alex Bohm, who wasn't a good rookie last year. He wasn't a good defensive rookie. He didn't hit the ball well either. JT Realmuto, I think, had a positive DRS actually. But, I mean, yeah, top 3 catcher in baseball. So, but the Phillies are going to be, I don't think they're going to be as good as everyone thinks. I think they're going to hit incredibly well. But you got to have some form of defense, and they just don't.
This is the opposite Mets. All the offense, no defense. The Mets were all the defense, no offense.
I think the Mets could be good this year. I mean, people also sleep on what the Mets signed this year. They signed a few really good players. They signed Mark Canha. They signed, what's his name? I think it's Marte. Sterling Marte, yes. They picked up some good players. I think the Mets will be good this year. I do. I think the Mets will take that division this year. I really, really do. I think they're going to put it all together.
All right, that was it.
And that will end this podcast. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to another episode of the All-Star Trio podcast. You can find us on Spotify and iHeartRadio. You can find our YouTube on, oh my God, I cannot talk today. You can find our YouTube as All-Star Trio on YouTube, of course. Follow us on all our socials. We are on every website. Follow our TikTok for pretty up-to-date videos and content whenever Tori decides to finish looking over the videos, and if Luke ever decides to actually make a video at some point.
So stay up to date on those because you'll hear about more news throughout the week that we might not even be talking about on the podcast. You get to hear outside opinions, maybe just Nick's, maybe just Luke's opinion. And when I get around to reviewing those videos, like Nick said, I forgot that Nick has one for me to review, and I completely forgot.
There's no point. It's a late review. It's a take that I just gave on the podcast, so it's gonna have to wait.
Okay, well, I'll make sure that I'm getting those posted, but go follow our TikTok for those reviews.
All right. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Peace.
See you.
Podcast.